people like David Icke or the classical conspiracy theorists who talk about, the Illuminati, Bill Gates is the devil, right? George Soros, the Jewish guy, is kind of organizing which is a major, Icke talks about George Soros all the time, right? This notion that there's these bunch of lizard people behind the scenes in every generation who are actually pulling the strings, right? Is, it might be partially right? There clearly were elites, all over the world who ran the world for most of history, right? And there's definitely power elites behind the scenes now who are clearly impacting. I mean, the Pritzkers, is a Chicago family that funded Obama, right? Clearly without the Pritzkers, right? So there's clearly a power elite family that, favored this candidate. And, Obama clearly has close ties to major elites, right? So it's not that there's no elites. There are.
The Koch brothers, aren't they behind a lot of this crap?
The brothers are they're behind. There's elites on the Democratic and the Republican side, and there's elites around the world that are in touch with each other, right? But there's not. We have no evidence that's compelling that there's some lizard people Illuminati pulling the strings in order to destroy the human brain and replace it with AI. That's not true. Right? We don't have evidence.
I agree with that. Yes.
Okay. But here's the thing, and now I want to go deep with you. This is what David Icke, he got this wrong, but he intuited something but missed it, as most conspiracy theorists do. It's not that and this is very subtle, so stay with me. There's like a pre-modern idea that we talked about while you were still on of like the devil, right? So the devil, right? There's the Jews are the devil, right? Whoever's representing the devil. So in some sense, conspiracy theorists, right? They'll often say 40 things that are right that you'll recognize, but then they'll make this leap. And you were on when we talked about that, okay? But they're not feeling something that's actually they're intuiting something, but they're associating kind of the evil or the degradation, the movement of reality towards totalitarianism, towards police state, towards AI, right? There's this group of lizard people behind the scenes, as it were, George Soros, right, who are moving it in that direction. That's not what's happening. What's happening is actually far more dangerous, but also far more promising, right? Meaning it's actually far more perilous what's actually happening, but also far more potential and far more potently beautiful if we get it right. So here's what's happening. And you'll listen to it, but I'll give you the basic idea. So the basic idea is something like this. It's not that there's a group of Illuminati. It's rather that there's and we said in the beginning, but we went much deeper into it, there's a field of contraction. There's a field, right? There's a field, there's the field of reality. So the field of reality has two layers to it. There's a field of contraction, right? And there's a field of outrageous love, a field of dreams, a field of pure possibility, a field of pure potentiality, right? It's the goddess field, it's the Shekhinah field, it's called in the Zohar, Chakel Tapuchin Kadishin, the field of holy apples, right? It's the beautiful field, right? Now, the field of contraction, which is the world that we see, right? The world that meets the eye unless you look deeper, right? That's the separate self world. That's the world of human beings as separate selves. And the field, now stay with me very closely, the field is driven by simple rules. It's a very important idea in complexity theory, right? In emergence theory, that there's simple rules that replicate and replicate and replicate and replicate up and down the system. And then by keep replicating, they create enormous, exponentialized, huge complexity. By complexity, I mean huge, everything emerges from that. So the field of reality today, there's a word in metamodern theory called a hyperobject, right? And a hyperobject means, let's say the world economy is a hyperobject. I mean, the world economy is not one person. It's not one system. It's not one currency. World economy is this insanely complicated, right, set of variables and people and factors and streams of currency and lending and, money and power and right. It's like the world economy is like, you can't even it's just so much, right? So it would be like this wild computer screen of zillions of things in front of you. You can't wrap your head around it. So we call that a hyperobject. Just a word we use. A hyperobject means it's this, you can't, global warming is a hyperobject, meaning we don't really know what's going to happen in global warming exactly, right? We're modeling, we're doing models. We're doing computer modeling, right? Right? And so, for example, the Imperial College modeling on March 16th of coronavirus turned out to be wrong. They said 2.2 million Americans would die. God willing, that's not going to happen. Right? So their modeling was wrong because they were modeling. Right? So global warming is a hyperobject. What I mean is global warming is not, there's a zillion factors and variables that go into how the ecological systems work and how all the variables. So we just call it global warming. That's a hyperobject. You get what I mean by hyperobject now?
Absolutely, yes.
It's a beautiful word, right? Okay. So in kind of the hyperobject of the world system, there's a field of contraction. That's the separate self field. That's the field of Homo sapiens, right? That field, when it follows its own inner logic, it's the field that's the lizard people, not a bunch of individual lizard people. In other words, the field itself is going to generate. So for example, social media. Did you agree to participate in a social media experiment in which you'd be on Facebook and you'd be, posting on Facebook? And did you agree to do that? Did they send you a thing? We're going to put up this thing called Facebook. It's going to change your life. It's going to take X amount of your time and X amount of attention, right? And would you be willing to sign on the dotted line that we're going to enact Facebook in America and you're going to participate in the experiment? Did you sign anything like that? Did you get how shocking that is? I want you to get that, okay? Did your congressional leader, right, work with Facebook and putting up this very beautiful experiment called Facebook? No. Did the Senate have anything to do with it? No. Did any president have anything to do with Facebook? No. Was there any commission established to kind of evaluate how this is going to impact society? No. So why are you spending all your time on Facebook? You're participating in this major experiment against your will, right? I mean, no one's forcing you, quote unquote. You've been seduced by eye candy. You can have your name and your profile, and now you have a voice and you can talk about your life. And you get on Facebook all the time. And of course, they're monetizing your attention. They're attracting your attention. For most people, they're attracting it through their lower self. It's an appeal to ego, right? Most people post on Facebook about utter nonsense. 99% of posts on Facebook are just nonsense, right? There's some goodness in Facebook, but lots of trash, lots of nonsense, right? We actually have correlated links now between depression, right, in millennials and adolescents and Facebook usage, the amount of time you spend online, right? So actually Facebook becomes, right, how do you feel when you don't have your iPhone? Your iPhone, how do you feel when your iPhone is not around? I can't find my iPhone. No, no big deal, I'm fine. Is that how you feel about it? Oh, no, don't have my iPhone for a couple of days. It's fine. I'll just use my regular handline. Really? Is that how you feel about it? I don't think so. So who got you to participate in this iPhone experiment where you're WhatsApping with Mark and you're texting this person and you're right? Who invited you? Did you agree to participate in that? So you didn't agree. So why are you participating in these experiments? Because you've been seduced, right? Now, you haven't been seduced by lizard people. Not like 3 lizard people said, no, Apple, Steve Jobs, they were doing technology. They wanted to provide this new elegant tool. It was profit driven, right? And they built it in a way that would just completely suck you in. It'd be fun, it'd be interesting, but of course it's also addictive. It also, your eyes going to it all the time. It's also interrupting the flow of your day. It actually stops you from actually finding your depth, right? You're participating in the social media experiment and people are kind of putting suicide online where they don't get attention or they get bullied and there's cyberbullying happening, right? And there's an incredible amount of negative side effects of Facebook, right? Which are all, right, happening up and down, including Russian hacking operating through Facebook, right? And siloing off populations. I mean, you can kind of start going about the negative effects of Facebook. They're actually almost unimaginable. No one's agreed to this. Why does Facebook exist? It exists because a bunch of people following the principles of the win-lose metrics of separate self. What I called 7 years ago, success 2.0. Success 1.0 is, in the pre-modern period, you're successful if you obey the laws of God and the book of your tradition. Success 2.0, you're in a success story. It's a win-lose metrics. Mark Zuckerberg, studying at Harvard, he basically steals Facebook from two other guys who made it. That's actually how it happened, right? Basically steals it, right? Win-lose metrics, right? Succeeds in this bunch of thefts that he does, right? Gets it up, and that's how it happened, right? That's actually how it happened. He gets it up, and he's monetizing it. He adds the vision later, but he basically sees the way to make money. And then he kind of adds on a little vision and shine, and Facebook connects everyone, right? You have Facebook friends. Like, when are your Facebook friends going to come and help you out, right? Right? For really, let's get real, right? So basically, so how did Facebook happen? Not through lizard people. You get it, Facebook friend? It's not lizard people. It's the inherent logic of the field of contraction, which is run by a set of simple rules. Simple rules are, you're a separate self. Simple rules. It's a win-lose metrics, right? Simple rules. Success story. You've got to make a certain amount of money. You've got to produce and monetize your production, and that makes you successful, right? A whole set of separate rules that drive the system, and they drive everything. They drive your company. They drive departments of government. They drive intelligence agencies to compete with each other. It's all win-lose metrics, separate self. That's the game. So in that game, you'll also have people who are going to create AI. And you'll have a couple of bad actors, so everyone else to play. Because you got bad actors, you can't have the bad actors having the AI. Win-lose metrics. You can't allow them, right? So we're going to play the AI game, and we're going to try and play it to win, because we got to do it better than them, right? And now you got AI, and then it's adopted because it's convenient. It's adopted because Suzette was telling me the other day, I'm working with people on how to use AI and how to use, that's what we're doing at SAP, right? That's what people are the same way you use Facebook. It gets convenient. I'm going to First, I'm going to hold my phone. I got holdables. I'm going to wear it. I got wearables, right? So first it's kind of, right? First it's kind of in my hand. Then it's on the body, right? On the body means Google Glasses. On the body means, whatever that thing is, whatever that's called. What is that called? The thing that Bluetooth. You get your little Bluetooth, right? Whatever it is. And then it's going to be in the body, because you're going to have a biometric sensor. And Ray Kurzweil tells us you're going to be able to actually do a Google search in your mind. Isn't that cool? Well, sort of. But you also can be tracked that way. And also, you have it monitors what you like and what you don't like. It also begins to know you better than you know yourself. It begins to market you and kind of direct your life, right? And you begin to turn to it for all questions because it knows everything about you. And slowly, you actually lose your human independence and beauty. Not because a bunch of lizards did it. That's the point. It's the inherent logic of the field itself. Okay, that's the danger, right? Right. So could AI undermine the entire human matrix? Yes, it could. Not because George Soros is organizing it. That's actually not how it's actually far more insidious than that. It's the inherent logic of the field. So what you have to do is you got to break out of the field. How do you break out of the field? You create a new field. How do you create a new field? You need new, simple rules. And that's how complexity theory works. Complexity theory works. Complexity theory works. You have simple rules that generate a field, right? So what the Dharma is the new set of simple rules. Oh, you step out of the field by moving from Homo sapien to Homo amor. You step out of the field by actually identifying as not just separate self, but true self, the unique expression of true self, unique self in an evolutionary context, evolutionary unique self. Those are simple rules, right? I begin to realize, oh, I'm a unique configuration of outrageous love. I have outrageous acts of love to commit that are needed by all that is, right? In other words, I begin to realize that I'm needed, I'm chosen, I'm recognized, I'm adored, right? In other words, all the rules of the Dharma. Relationships, there's roommate, there's soulmate, there's soulmate. In other words, we introduce a new set of simple principles, simple first principles that dominate the entire field. They define a new field. So now we're no longer in the field of contraction, my love. We're in the field of possibility, right? We're in the field of pure potentiality. We're in the field of love. right? We're in the field of outrageous love. And that field, those simple principles generate a unique self-symphony, unique self-symphonies, right? Committing outrageous acts of love, creating, right? It's an intimate universe. We feel each other. We have shared identity, mutuality of recognition, mutuality of pathos, mutuality of purpose. New coherences emerge. But what happens is, just like the separate self win-lose metrics exponentializes into this field that generates, right, the lizard result, if you will, right? So actually this new field with its simple principles also exponentially generates beauty, goodness, and truth in the evolution of love. So that's what we're doing. What we're doing is that's who we are. That's why the Great Library matters. Because we can't come and say to people, we're going to superimpose on you. These are the rules, guys. Hey, guys, you know those old set of rules? Fuck them, man. We're going to give you the new set of rules, right? Here we are, the paternalistic patriarchs or matriarchs. Here are the new rules, everybody. So everybody's going to look at us and say, fuck you, man. Who are you to come give us rules? What are you talking about? Why would we accept your first principles? So the answer is, we're not asking anyone to accept our first principles. Gafni said, right? Gafni and Barber said, Gafni, Barber, and Wilbur said, whatever. No, nothing like that at all. We actually want to generate the self-evidently true first principles that are embedded in the structure of reality itself. They're true because they're true, right? They're true because, right, they actually, right, match the most facts and the most information and the most scientific data, interior science and exterior science, right, across, right, all disciplines. So that's why we need a great library. We can't just claim it, right? So we need, on the one hand, an evolutionary love codes book, but on the other hand, we need 4 homo amor volumes and a phenomenology of eros. So in other words, because the point is, what we need to generate in all these volumes together is a validated knowing, validated gnosis that comes from deep within. The mysteries are within us. But we then check those mysteries against different fields of knowledge, attachment theory, and, you know, and information from the sciences, right? And you know, and complexity theory, right? And we begin to put it together into simple first principles. So that's what the Great Library is. It's first principle deep dives, and then short presentations of first principles. You can't do that in a year or two, right? That takes, it's been 10 years formulating the Dharma, right? I've spent all my last 10 years on this, right? And it keeps clarifying. It just clarified in the last few weeks when we talked about information as intimacy, didn't it? Right? We clarified an entirely new level of understanding that actually information is not, as Shannon describes it, neutral bits, but information actually is the aggregating, self-organizing movement of a cosmos towards greater configurations of intimacy that each create a whole greater than the sum of the parts. That's information. That's what we mean by information. Information is the aggregating Shakti, the aggregating Eros, right? That makes, you know, subatomic particles come together. When they come together, now there's an atom. That's information. Information. It's the interior, that formation that forms, right, the new whole greater than the sum of the parts. That's information. That's intimacy. Information is intimacy. So that's a new way of formulating that Dharma that's just in the last few weeks. And so it all works together, right? All the pieces. Perfect. All the pieces are together. So let's hold here. And so that's very important. So there is a conspiracy theory, but it's more like this. It's not a conspiracy theory. Reality is a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy of outrageous love. Right? Reality is conspiring, right? It's breathing towards the evolution of love, right? It's breathing towards, right, the evolution of intimacy. So the way I would say it is that reality itself is one great conspiracy. Right? And the evolution of love is the evolution of the simple rules that can actually fulfill that great conspiracy of reality, which is, right? Kol manda nafach midilei nafach, says the text in the Zohar in Aramaic, right? Everything that breathes, breathes from inside of spirit, right? So we're conspiring. We're breathing reality into the next step, and we're breathing together. We're inspiring each other, right? So there's a great conspiracy, right? And in some sense, you might say that all of reality, in its field of contraction, is a false flag, right? The false flag of reality is, oh, we think we're going there, win-lose metrics, more accumulation, more success, more status. Now that's But then we're empty. No, that's not what it's about. There's actually a hidden conspiracy. We're conspiring for utopia. We're conspiring for more beauty than you can possibly imagine, right? And beneath the shudder of appearances, reality is breathing towards outrageous love. That's told here.